We're about to dive into a powerful, ancient solution for some of our biggest modern problems. And the weirdest part? Almost nobody is talking about it. What if I told you that a technology perfected 2,000 years ago could help feed the world and fight climate change, all at the same time? Sounds like science fiction, right?
Well, it's very, very real.
So our story kicks off deep in the Amazon rainforest. Now, you should know this region is famous for having some of the worst, most nutrient-poor soil on the entire planet. But then, scientists stumbled onto something that frankly shouldn't be possible. Huge patches of incredibly rich, jet-black earth. Something's going 6 feet deep. I mean, just look at this comparison. On one hand, you've got your typical Amazonian soil. It's acidic, there are barely any nutrients, and it becomes totally useless for farming after just a couple of years. But on the other hand, you have this Terra Preta, which means black earth. It's not just rich and fertile, it's stayed that way for over 2,000 years. And no, that is not a typo. So how in the world did this miracle soil get there? Well, this was no accident of nature. It was an invention, a deliberate, really sophisticated piece of technology created by ancient people. And it was a recipe that was tragically lost to time. For more than 1,000 years, from around 450 BC all the way to 950 AD, pre-Columbian communities were meticulously building these soils. This was a complex, generational project. But when European colonizers arrived, the indigenous populations collapsed, and this incredible agricultural knowledge just vanished. And, the recipe itself was shockingly simple. They just used what was around them. We're talking about charcoal, mixed with stuff like bones, broken pieces of pottery, compost, and animal manure. That's it. They combine these basic ingredients to create a soil that has literally outlasted empires. So just how powerful is this stuff? Well, Terra Preta soils can contain up to 70 times more carbon than the regular dirt right next to them. That's not just a little better. That is a complete and total transformation of the earth. But okay, here is the part that still completely blows the minds of modern scientists. Terra Preta seems to regenerate itself. It actually grows, expanding by about a centimeter every single year. We have some theories, about microbial feedback loops and all that, but the honest truth, we still don't fully get how it works. So let's connect this ancient mystery to what we know today. That key ingredient, the one that makes the magic happen, has a modern name, biochar. Let's break down exactly what that is and how it does what it does. Okay, so biochar is a very, very specific kind of charcoal. You make it by taking biomass, stuff like wood chips or agricultural waste, and heating it up to really high temperatures, but, and this is key, in an environment with very little oxygen. That process is called pyrolysis, and it creates this incredibly stable, super pure form of carbon. And let's be super clear about something. Biochar is not the same charcoal you use for your barbecue. Your BBQ briquettes have binders and other additives in them to make them burn well. Biochar is pretty much pure carbon, and it's designed to stay in the soil for centuries, not to grill your burgers. I absolutely love this quote from soil biologist Dr. Lane Ingham, because it's just the perfect way to think about it. If you look at biochar under a microscope, it's riddled with tiny pores, kind of like a sponge. Dr. Ingham calls it a microbial apartment complex. It's basically the perfect, safe home for all the good bacteria and fungi that bring soil to life. So how it works really boils down to 3 simple things. First, it provides that safe housing for microbes. Second, that spongy structure holds onto water and nutrients like crazy, so they don't just wash away. And third, it locks carbon into the soil for thousands of years. Okay, now this part is absolutely critical, so listen up. You can't just dump fresh, raw biochar into your garden. Think of it like a brand new bone-dry sponge. It's so absorbent that it will immediately suck up all the nutrients that are already in your soil, starving your plants. You have to charge it first, basically by pre-soaking it in something rich like compost tea. All right, so we've seen how this works on a small scale. Now let's zoom out, because this is where we get to the massive, and I mean massive potential biochar has for fixing our soil and our climate on a global scale. This right here shows the incredible difference. The old slash-and-burn method of clearing land, it releases almost all of a plant's carbon into the atmosphere. Only about 3% actually makes it back to the soil. But with slash and char, turning that waste into biochar instead, you can lock up to 50% of that carbon safely in the ground. So what does that add up to? Well, if we used biochar sustainably and widely, we could cut global net emissions by up to 1.8 billion tons of CO2 equivalent every single year. That is a huge slice of the pie.
And the benefits don't even stop with CO2, not even close. Peer-reviewed studies have confirmed it can slash other nasty greenhouse gases like nitrous oxide and methane. It can even help clean up polluted land by preventing plants from absorbing toxic contaminants.
This all sounds almost too good to be true, right? Which leads to the big, obvious question. If this stuff is so great, why isn't every farmer and gardener on the planet using it? Well, the answer, it's complicated. It's not that biochar itself is illegal. You can buy it, you can use it, no problem. The tricky part is making it. The cheapest, easiest ways to do it, like in a simple pit, often run up against clean air laws that are designed to reduce smoke. And that tends to hit small-scale farmers and backyard gardeners the hardest. But the biggest roadblock of all, you guessed it, it's money. You can't put a patent on a 2,000-year-old idea. There's no big, flashy profit model, and there's definitely no powerful industry lobby pushing for it in Washington. Meanwhile, the synthetic fertilizer industry is a $200 billion a year behemoth with huge profits and an army of lobbyists. And all of this leads to a pretty strange, kind of ironic situation. This ancient technology is being rediscovered, but probably not in the way you'd hope. So here's the great irony of it all. Biochar is booming, but it's mostly as a financial tool. Big corporations are buying up biochar credits to offset their carbon emissions. So the very technology that was created by indigenous people to grow food is now being turned into a corporate commodity, while the average farmer is still just reaching for another bag of synthetic fertilizer. So we're left with this. We have an ancient recipe that we know works. We have modern science that confirms why it works. The question isn't really about the science anymore. It's about our systems. When a simple, proven solution is right in front of us, what does it say about our priorities that it's easier to trade it on a carbon market than to get it into the hands of the people who actually grow our food?